Mr. Denham.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did not come here with a list of prepared questions today. I came here to listen and understand why decades of inaction haven't been fixed yet. You know, I got an interesting chart here from CRS. It starts with 1982, when I was a freshman in high school. 1982, starting with a computer system, and then 88, developing the system. I can tell you in 89, when I left active duty and was handed my little yellow shot records, and they said, don't ever lose these, whether you're on reserve status or whether you completely depart the military, don't ever lose these shot records. I can tell you how disappointed I was when I had a conversation with Mr. Walls about a year and a half ago, and Mr. Rowe, as we took a trip over to Afghanistan, and I had to go search through my warehouse to find those little yellow shot records, because several decades later, we still don't have a system. Now, during that time, not only did I spend over 16 years between active duty and reserves, but I started a company where I can track every one of my thousands of plastic containers across the United States and some in other countries. I started a farm where I've got to know where my almonds are, you know, not only what lot or where they're sitting or where we're warehousing them, but what can they actually go in. Now, as a private individual, if I can figure out how to take today's technology and run a business, the question is, why can't we do it in the Department of Defense? And so we've asked this question now a couple of times. I've only been in Congress just over 2 years, but we've already had a couple of different hearings on this. We've had both secretaries agree. So my frustration is that not only have we let several decades go by, but you've been given directive by the President, by your agency secretaries, to get this done. My belief is that you don't have the will to get it done. That we have such a big bureaucracy that everybody wants to control their own system rather than come together on one system. And these aren't the first times we've heard these excuses. Well, cost, sure, cost is always a factor. Sequestration, we didn't really understand that that was coming. We haven't had a budget in 4 years, so we're not really sure what the budgets are going to be. Damn it, it's time to get over the excuses and get this fixed. We have brave men and women that are coming home at huge numbers right now. We don't want to see these backlogs of benefits continue to escalate. We have a very succinct opportunity to fix it today. We have the systems and know-how to get it done today. What we need is you guys to work together, and if it takes the VA taking the lead because they're not as severely affected by sequestration, then get it done. But we need to have the VA working within the Department of Defense before these individuals leave active duty today, and making sure that we've got one set of records, so they're not carrying around for several decades that little yellow shot record. This is inexcusable. I don't want to be sitting here next year with the same exact problem where we've got our benefits or our veterans still sitting with a larger backlog of benefits, not being able to get through the system because it's taking 40 to 50 days just to research their paper records that they may have just received months prior. It's inexcusable. So I didn't have any questions today. I wanted to come in here and hear how the changes are happening, how the departments are working together, how we have one system that is ready to go, because those that have volunteered at a time of war to serve our country, to put their lives on the line, deserve nothing less. They come home tomorrow, they ought to be in the system tomorrow, knowing what benefits they're able to receive, knowing what level of disability they are before they leave active duty. And we ought to have one system that, whether they come back 20 years from now, it doesn't take a 50-day or a 5-day system to decide what eligibility they have. This is inexcusable, and you need to get it right, or we're going to force you to get it right. I believe that this is something that we can handle within the federal government, that we have a duty and an obligation to get it handled within the federal government. Right? I tell you, the more time that goes by, the more conversations that this group has, I continue to lean more towards the private sector because I can get it done in the private sector, because I have to have it done in the private sector, because I have the will to keep my business alive. I don't always feel that same duty and obligation on behalf of those brave men and women that are willing to risk it all. This should not be it should not be a difficult task. This should be a very simple one with the technology and know-how that's out there. And I don't believe that with the several decades that have gone by, the many budgets, the many allocations, the support of both secretaries and a president that's given a directive, that cost should be a factor in this as well. So I'm looking for some answers. And I will come up with some questions, because what we've heard today, once again, is inexcusable. I yield back.
Mr. Grete McLeod.